Hey guys, Cameron with TekMat here again, and I just wanted to show you guys how versatile our TekMats are. So we're cleaning this Springfield XD in our main office. Alright, let's get started. First, as always, we're going to want to start with safety. Keep your finger off the trigger and keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Go ahead and lock the slide back and touch and visually inspect the chamber to make sure it's empty. It does look like it is, so we'll go ahead and get started with the disassembly. Alright guys, let's go ahead and disassemble the Springfield XD. So we're going to push the slide release lever up into the unlocked position. Just go ahead and let the slide come forward, and while keeping it in a safe direction, pull the trigger. The slide should just come right off now. And we are ready to go through our tools. As before, we're going to be using cleaning rod with our bore brush and our jag. And then we have our cleaner, lubricant, and our protectant right here, as well as our pads, both thick and thin. Our brush to apply all the liquids, and of course Q-tips, and our Tek towel, which we so much love. Let's go ahead and start cleaning the gun. Go ahead and take the recoil spring out. The barrel should follow, and then apply a little bit of cleaner to your brush. And as we've stated before, the droppers make it very helpful to put on as much as you need, not too much, not too little. And then we'll just start off with the recoil spring, as always. Give it a nice brush down, scrub that really good so we can get all that carbon buildup off and all that dirt and grime out of there. I find that it helps to do circular motions, just kind of like brushing your teeth. It helps to get all that grime out of there. Once we've got that done, we can set that aside to let it soak in the cleaner and get all that carbon buildup really out of there. And then we'll go ahead and get the barrel and start on that, just the same as the recoil spring, trying to get all that dirt and gunk off. Again, circular motions really help here. Make sure you get every single part of it. The barrel is one of the main parts that gets dirty just because it sees all the gunpowder, all the live rounds that go through the gun. And now that it's scrubbed down, we'll go ahead and put it by our recoil spring. We'll move on to the upper receiver. Of course, we want to put a lot of our focus onto the slide rails and the guards, just because that's where there is a lot of movement on the gun, a lot of metal on metal friction, and just a lot of, in general, heat and gunk that builds up there that we want to make sure is really nice and cleaned off so that the gun cycles properly. And of course, we'll come to the front here, really get all this out of there. And then just making sure to go around a lot of the surfaces except for the firing pin. Once we get the outside nice and scrubbed down, we are good to go ahead and move on to the lower receiver. Again, wanting to pay attention to these slide rails. Lots of movement here, a lot of buildup of carbon and a lot of dirt. Most of the interior needs to be cleaned on this lower receiver. So you are good to go ahead and just mainly scrub down on most of the areas. Just like all the other parts with the lower receiver, we're going to go ahead and put it off to the side so that it can soak in cleaner. That'll help us really maximize all the cleaning. And now we're ready to go back to our barrel. We're going to get our cleaning rod and put our bore brush on it. Apply some cleaner to the bore brush. And then, just as before, get a good grip on it, just run it through. Again, the swivel action makes it so you can just put it through and then pull it back without having to worry about your rifling being ruined or damaged. You should be good to go ahead and switch to your jag now. We're gonna go and run a couple of patches through the barrel to really get all of it cleaned thoroughly. All right. And as we've said before, I like to just run a couple patches through it until I don't see any more black on the patches themselves. Usually takes about 4 or 5 patches for me, depending on how long it has been since I've cleaned the gun. A lot of people like to use the thinner patches for the barrel. It's really your own preference. They do slide through a lot easier, but if you can muster pushing the thicker patches through, they're both just as effective. All right, that's starting to look pretty clean. We'll go ahead and leave that there for now and leave it at that. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our Tek towel and just wipe down all the parts that we've gone through and cleaned to get all the cleaner off of it so that we can apply our lubricant and protectant next. All right. Now that we're moving on to the upper receiver, one thing that I would like to point out, and just as a tip, once we've wiped all this cleaner off, is that one way that I find to get the nice fine details of the gun and the cleaner is with a Q-tip. As we have said before, especially for the slide rail and the slide rail guard, to really get in there with a Q-tip helps to get all of that cleaner out so that you can really get a nice base to put on for the lubricant. All right, and then same with the lower receiver. Also helps to get some of that gunk out. You can see here how the Q-tips do get pretty dirty. All right, now we'll go ahead and start applying our lubricant. To keep in mind, just a nice couple areas you want to keep lubricant is a lot of metal to metal moving parts and contact, especially the slide rail. Just putting a couple drops on each part and then just rubbing it in with either a Tek towel or a patch, whatever you find is easiest for you and more convenient. Just really making sure to get a nice even coat all around. We'll move on to the lower receiver. Again, just putting a couple drops on the rail. And then just rubbing it in. Just in case you get a little bit too much oil, you can always go back with the Q-tips and just run it through once or twice, and that should get any excess oil that you've got there. All right, next we'll move on to the barrel and the recoil spring. Putting lubricant on these two parts is fairly easy. You just want to put a couple drops just around the part and then go in with your Tek towel or patch again and just rub it around. Thank goodness we have our TekMat, or else that could have been bad. All right. There you go. There's the barrel. And then same with the recoil spring, very easy to go ahead and just put a little bit. And then to just rub it in. Let's go ahead and move on to our protectant now. The protectant is kind of just like the conditioner, as we've said before, for the gun. It really just helps to make sure that it's in good working condition and it'll stay that way. Just like the lubricant, all you want to do is just put a couple drops on your parts and then rub it in with the towel. And that way, we just help to preserve the life of our gun and ensure that it lasts as long as it possibly can and stays functioning for as long as possible as well. And then the lower and upper receiver are similar to the lubricant, just on the slide rails. Put a couple drops, and then again you can wipe off any excess that is put on there with a Q-tip. Alright. Same for the upper receiver, just a couple drops here. Wipe it down. Kind of like lotion, just rubbing it into the gun, really working it in there. All right, we'll go ahead and proceed with the reassembly now that the gun's cleaned. Starting off with the barrel, just putting it back into place, and then followed by the recoil spring, just putting it there and popping it into the little groove that's made for it on this piece. And then on the lower receiver, we're going to want to make sure that the slide release is in the up and unlocked position. Go ahead and just rack the slide back on, lock it in place, push the slide release down so that it's locked in place. That's how we clean the Springfield XD, guys. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you'd like to pick up your own TekMat, head on over to our website. Take care.